Dames en heren, hartelijk welkom. We zijn hier bijeen voor de uitreiking van de Amsterdamse Dekenprijs 2010. Ik heet u allen hartelijk welkom. In particular, I want to say welcome to you, Mr. al-Maleh, as not only a representative of Mr. Al-Hassani, but also being the son of your father who suffers the same cruel fate as Al-Hassani.
Each year, the Amsterdam Bar Association presents the Dean's Prize, the Dekenprijs, to a lawyer for a remarkable contribution to the legal profession in Amsterdam in general, or to the rule of law in general. The prize for 2010 is awarded to Muhannad Al-Hassani, lawyer at Damascus, Syria. Syria has been in a state of siege since March 1963. This means that for 48 years Syria has been subject to repression of human rights, such as the freedom of expression, the right to associate and peaceful assembly. The adversities of the Syrian lawyer Muhannad Al-Hassani exemplify how a country like Syria completely disregards human rights and its own international obligations. Al-Hassani played a leading role in the human rights organization Syrische, whose goal it is to promote human rights in Syria. He worked on writing and publishing reports showing systematic violation of human rights by Syria. He was arrested in July 2009 and imprisoned. He was accused of damaging Syria's reputation in his reports and weakening national sentiment. He is also accused of attending a trial before the military court at which he made notes, with the suspicion that he intended to publicize these notes. He is sharing his prison cell with approximately 60 other detainees without beds for all. As a political prisoner, he has been denied the right to take day courses and to use the prison library. Equally distressing is the fact that his lawyer, Haytham al-Maleh, was imprisoned 3 months later, accused of similar charges. Al-Maleh, now 80 years old and in poor health, also shares his cell with approximately 60 other prisoners. A proper bed to sleep in is also denied to him. Human rights are violated also in other places. Lawyers that are eminently aware of the meaning of the rule of law are often victims. What makes the fate of Muhannad Al-Hassani different, even more cruel, that is that the Syrian Bar Association played an active role in restricting civil rights. His current legal counsels told me that besides restricting possibilities for Al-Hassani to consult with them, the Syrian bar took some other measurements as well. And the most compelling matter in this field is that on November 10, 2009, the Damascus chapter of the Bar Association disbarred Al-Hassani. They striked him. 2 reasons were given for this act. First, Al-Hassani conveyed false news that could debilitate the morale of the nation and cause damage to the international reputation of Syria. Second, Al-Hassani became a board member of Syrische without permission, while the rules stipulate that the prior permission of the Bar Association must be obtained if a lawyer wants to become a member of an organization to promote human rights. The Syrian Bar Association is therefore guilty of unlawful restriction of 2 fundamental rights, namely the right to freedom of expression, the right to freedom of association and freedom of assembly. The only bright spot is that these kind of violations of human rights trigger reactions. Back to Muhannad Al-Hassani, who was very much aware of the risks he was taking when he sought attention for the breaches of human rights in Syria. He knew that Syria has no rule of law. He knew that he could be followed. He knew that he could be arrested and could be convicted in shady proceedings. Many have gone before him. They have inspired him to offer resistance. He still has a year or two in prison ahead of him, and he cannot thereafter return to his profession. He cannot count on any public support from his countrymen. There is every reason to honor him, because he has remained faithful through thick and thin to principles that every lawyer should not just pay lip service to, but, if it really must, should also stick to. As he himself said, the struggle for human rights is a long-term one. This word should make very clear that the passage of time does not mean that he and his objectives are forgotten. I'm proud to present this award to a special representative, Iyas al-Maleh. His father, Haytham al-Maleh, suffered the same cruel fate as Al-Hassani, and we honor him too.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks for the Netherlands Bar Association, Amsterdam Bar Association, for inviting me to be here, and thank you all for coming here. I have worked with so many of you during the past year, and I do appreciate all the support. I'm going to start reading some of the words that I've received from Muhannad Al-Hassani first, and then I'll share some of my thoughts with you. Greetings. I am honored to win this prestigious award, which raised my morale and increased my patience. I would like to thank the Bar Association of the Netherlands and the colleagues lawyers who came and attended the hearings and followed up on my just cause, which I sacrificed my life, my future, my family, for the deployment of a culture of human rights in Syria and achieving justice in Syrian courts. I dedicate this award to the Dean of Jurists, Mr. Haytham al-Maleh, who stood by me during the hearings at the Syrian Bar Association in respect to the disciplinary proceedings, and to the rest of my fellow lawyers, prisoners of opinion. And to all who stood by me, from the colleagues, my legal agents who were suffering, to get a permission to visit me to prepare the defense during the trial. Second, I dedicate it to all young Syrian counsels upholding the law and its application in Syria, and to all rights activists struggling for justice in the Syrian courts to continue the spreading of human rights culture in Syria. Finally, thank you very much, and I wish you a long life. Detained lawyer Muhannad Al-Hassani.